Hello, welcome to Cordy's World of Warcraft Housing. Today, we are going to do a tutorial on making cakes in our World of Warcraft homes. Because a party without cake is just another meeting. Today we are going to learn how to make tarts, cupcakes, a cheesecake with berries, a strawberry shortcake, and a chocolate cake with gurgle, because even Murloc need cake. If you like these kinds of how-to videos for World of Warcraft housing, let me know by liking or commenting. We're going to start with how to make tarts. To make tarts, you will need 1 circular woolen rug and 5 stacked pillow rolls. Both are vendor items. If you want to dye your circular woolen rug, you will also need 1 dye. I used Forsaken Plum, but you can use whatever you like. First, we are going to start with the circular woolen rug to make a plate. We're actually going to do this for the first step on everything that we make today. If you choose to make the plate a color other than the standard blue, you're going to start by dyeing the circular woolen rug. Then you're going to scale it to the size you like. I made mine 45%. Place the woolen rug on a counter or table and push it down so that it is sitting on top of the surface where you want to serve your tarts. To make the tarts, you're going to take your stitched pillow rolls one by one and rotate them so that they are standing tall. Scale them to the size that you like. Mine are 70 to 75%. I varied their sizes so that they wouldn't all look exactly the same. Push the pillow rolls into the plate and table until you get it to the height where everything other than the cuff of the pillow roll is hidden. You'll do this one at a time for all of the pillow rolls. Once they're all plated, I rotated mine left to right so that they wouldn't all be uniform on the plate. I chose not to dye the pillow rolls since I thought that they already looked like a strawberry or raspberry tart with the standard coloring that it came with. If you wanted to, you could dye it blue for blueberries or brown for apple. Congratulations, you have made really cute and yummy tarts. Next up, we're going to make cupcakes. To make cupcakes, you will need 1 circular rug, 4 elegant elven barrels, 4 elegant seat cushions, and optionally, if you want to put candles on top, 4 tusked candle holder or other small candles of your choosing. If you want to dye the icing a color that isn't the standard elegant cushion, you'll need 4 dyes for that. If you want to dye the plate, you'll need a dye for that as well. I used Forsaken Plum for the woolen rug and Night Song Lilac for the cupcake icing. To start, once again, we're going to make a plate with the circular woolen rug. Just like last time, dye the rug if you want to, and then place the rug on a counter or table and push it down so that it sits just on top of the surface. Next, use the elegant elven barrels to make cupcake wrappers. Scale them to the size that you like. I did mine at 50 to 55% and push them down into the plate or table until you get the height that you like for the bottom of the cupcakes. Do this for all 4 barrels. You don't have to worry if they're not all even. It's nice to have some variation in height and width. If you wanted to, you could dye these to add a color to the cupcake wrappers. I thought it looked like a cupcake wrapper the way it was, so I chose to leave them as they were. Next, you're going to use the elegant seat cushions one at a time to make cupcake icing. If you're changing the color of the icing, dye the elegant seat cushion to the color that you like. Then scale these to fit your cupcakes. Mine were 60 to 65%. You're going to place the cushions centered over the cupcake wrapper and push down until you cover over part of the cupcake wrapper. If you're not adding a candle, you could dye the center of the cushion red or blue for strawberry or blueberry, or just dye it to match the color that you chose for the rest of the icing. If you are adding candles, you can make them any size you want. I left mine without scaling. I centered them over the icing and pushed them down until they were the height that I liked. Again, these don't need to be even. You could do different heights if you choose to. Congratulations, you have now made delicious cupcakes. Next, we're going to make cheesecake with berries. To do this, you will need, you guessed it, a circular woolen rug for the plate, an elegant seat cushion, and I used 8 small fruit platters. Depending on the size of the cake that you make, you may need more or less. You will need 1 white die and 1 horde red die. At this point, I know that you're a pro at making plates, but once again, we're going to start with our woolen rug. Dye the rug if you would like to, and then place it on the counter or table where you want the cheesecake and push it down so that it sits on the surface. Next, use the elegant seat cushion to make the cheesecake. Dye the large area bone white, and if you want to, the small circle horde red. You're going to scale the cushion to the size that you like. Mine is 150%. Center the cushion over the plate and push it down until you reach the desired height. Lastly, you're going to use the fruit platters to add strawberries. Again, I used 8, but depending on the size of the cake and how big you make the berries, you may use more or less. I scaled mine to 90 to 100 to add variety to the berries. You're going to pick a spot that you want to start with and push the fruit platter down into the table so that the plate is hidden. Then push the fruit platter into the cake so that the berries are snug up against the cake and the banana is hidden. If you're having difficulty getting the plate to hide, you might need to slightly tilt the plate forward towards you, which would be towards the edge with the berries, just to get it to hide. And you're going to repeat this to go fully around the cheesecake. Congratulations, you have made a divine cheesecake with berries. Next up, we're going to make a strawberry shortcake, though you can really use this to make any kind of layer cake that your heart desires. You will need a circular woolen rug. Again, you guessed it, we're making another plate, and then 5 elegant seat cushions. If you want to add a candle, you'll need 1 tusked candle holder. If you want to add a candle, you'll use 1 tusked candle holder or other small candle of your choice. You will need 3 bone white dies, 2 Gilnean rose dies, and a die for your woolen rug if you choose to dye it. First, start with your woolen rug and make the plate. You know the drill. Dye it, size it, and push it down until it is sitting on the surface where you want the cake. Next, take 1 elegant seat cushion and dye it bone white. Then scale it to the size that you like for the bottom layer of the cake. Mine is 130%. Center it above the plate and push it down until it's sitting on the plate. As you know, you can push it further into the plate if you want to make the layer shorter. Next, use another elegant seat cushion. Dye this one Gilnean rose for your first strawberry layer. Scale this down from what your bottom cake layer is. I scaled this to 120%. Center this on top of the bottom tier of the cake and push it down until it's mostly hidden in the bottom cake layer. You really just want the top of the cushion peeking out to have a small layer of strawberries. Next, we're going to use another elegant seat cushion to make the middle layer of the cake. We're going to dye this one bone white and scale it down so that it's smaller than the strawberry layer. Mine is 105%. Center this above the strawberry layer and push this down into the strawberry layer until you get the height that you like. Next, we're going to make another strawberry layer. You're going to use another elegant seat cushion and dye it Gilnean rose. Scale this down so it's smaller than the middle layer of the cake. Mine is 95%. Center this on top of the middle layer of the cake and push it down until it is mostly hidden and just the top of the cushion is peeking out for the strawberry layer. We're going to use our last elegant seat cushion to make the top layer of the cake. Dye it bone white and then scale it down to a size smaller than the strawberry layer. I made mine 85%. Center this above the strawberry layer and push it down until you get the height that you like. If you're not using a candle, you could dye the center of the top cushion Gilnean red for strawberry or bone white to keep it the same color as the rest of the icing. If you do want to add a candle, take your candle and scale it to the size that you want. Mine is 80. Then place it over the center of the top layer of the cake and push it down until you get the height that you like. Congratulations, you have made the most amazing strawberry shortcake. Lastly, we are going to make a tiered cake and then decorate the cake. I wanted to make something fun and different, so I made it Murloc themed. but you could use flowers or really any other fun items that you want. Your options are really unlimited, so get creative and have fun. To make this cake, you will need your circular woolen rug for the plate, 2 elegant seat cushions for the cake, and then any decorations that you'd like to add to the cake. If you decorate it the way that it's pictured, you'll need a cuddly gurgle. I used the green one, but there are other options. You will need an Elwyn round cobblestone, 2 Elwyn grass patches, and a small Elwyn grass patch. As for dye, you could dye the cake any color you want. I wanted to make a cake that looked like a chocolate cake, so I went with Heartwood. I thought that that looked like a really nice chocolate color. Once again, we're starting with the woolen rug for the plate. Dye the rug to change the color if you want. Scale it to the size you like. I made mine 45%. Place the woolen rug on a counter or table and push it down so that it is on the surface. Next, take one of the seat cushions and dye it Heartwood. Scale it to the size that you want for the bottom layer of the cake. Mine is 195. Place this centered on top of the plate and push it down onto the plate. You can push it further into the plate if you want to make a shorter height. Next, take your second seat cushion and dye it Heartwood. Scale it to the size that you want for the top layer. Mine is 125%. Place this centered above the bottom layer and push it down onto the top. Place this centered above the bottom layer of cake and then push it down on top of that layer. At this point, you could decorate the cake with whatever you like. I used an Elwyn round cobblestone at 30% and put that on top of the cake to make it look like the top of a rock or mountain. Pick the spot that you like and then push it down into the cake to make it the height that you want. I then used the Elwyn grass patch and scaled it to 20%. I placed it behind the rock and pushed it down into the cake until it was the height that I liked. I then took the cuddly green Murloc plushie and scaled it to 60%. I placed him on top of the rock. Then I used an Elwyn small grass patch to add decoration to the middle tier. Mine is scaled to 25%. I pushed this down into the bottom layer of the cake until it was about the height of the top layer of the cake, and then I pushed it backwards into the cake so that it fit snugly against that layer. Lastly, I used the Elwyn grass patch, scaled to 20%, for decoration at that bottom layer. I pushed this down into the plate until it was about the height of the bottom layer, and then I pushed it into the cake so that it was snug and some of it was hidden in that cake layer. Murgle cake gurgle. I think the Murlocs approve. Congratulations, you've made a really beautiful layered cake. Thank you for watching and following along. If you want to see other housing news, decor guides, or how to build guides, subscribe so that you don't miss out on other videos. If you make any of these desserts, please comment below and let me know how it turned out. If you want daily housing news and updates, follow me on Facebook or check out Discord or other social media. Hope you have a wonderful day.